येषु मे विनिविष्टेन गुरूणां लङ्घितं वचः जीवलोकमिमं त्यक्त्वा बन्धुन् परिचितांस्तथा एकाकी क्वापि यास्यामि किं मे सर्वैः प्रियाः प्रियैः इयमेव तु मे चिन्ता युक्ता रात्रिन्दिवं तदा अशुभान्नियतं दुःखं निस्सरेयं ततः कथम् मया बालेन मूढेन यत्किञ्चित् पापमाचितं प्रकृत्या यच्च सावद्यं प्रज्ञप्त्यावद्यमेव च तत्सर्वं देशयाम्येष नाथानाम् अग्रतस्थितः कृताञ्जलिर्दुःखभीतः प्रणिपत्य पुनः पुनः अत्ययमत्ययत्वेन प्रतिगृह्णन्तु नायकः अभद्रकमिदं नाथ न कर्तव्यं पुनर्मया अभद्रकमिदं नाथ न कर्तव्यं पुनर्मया अभद्रकमिदं नाथ न कर्तव्यं पुनर्मया इति श्री शान्तिरेव विरचिते बोधिचर्यावतारे पापदेशना नाम द्वितीयः परिच्छेदः ॐ
All right. Well, welcome everybody. We're going to get started here in just a minute, but I just wanted to mention we're switching over to our regular Sunday service. So for those of you who have the Rime Center prayer book, just make sure you're on the right service. Nobody has the red service, do they? Okay. Okay. All right. So the red service, this is a prototype we're trying out. If anybody's so energetic to choose your own adventure with the Sunday service, the way it's built is our opening prayers are in the front. Then we have the 3 Sunday services without the opening prayers built into the center. And then there's closing prayers at the very end. So it really is like a choose your own adventure where you get to jump back and forth throughout the book. We'll see how it goes. My hope was that we wouldn't have to have a bunch of different Sunday services, that people could have one book and have everything. It also has the Wednesday prayers in it and the Monday Zen prayers, if anyone's so inclined. But again, I want to welcome you all here to the Rime Center on this beautiful yet hot and humid Sunday morning. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're joining us online and you'd like to follow along with our service, the link to the PDF should be in the event description, so that way you can follow along with us from home. So let's go ahead and get settled in our space present to where we're at. To do that, we're just going to take a couple deep breaths, releasing the breath, letting go of any tension we're holding in our body and in our mind. Refuge vows. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until enlightenment is reached. May my generosity and accumulations of merit bring benefit to all beings, and may all beings actualize perfect Buddhahood. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, for refuge until enlightenment is reached. May my generosity and accumulations of merit bring benefit to all beings, and may all beings actualize perfect Buddhahood. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I go for refuge until enlightenment is reached. May my generosity and accumulations of merit bring benefit to all beings, and may all beings actualize perfect Buddhahood. For immeasurables, may all beings be endowed with happiness. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings never be separated from happiness. And may all beings abide in equanimity, undisturbed by the 8 worldly concerns. May all beings be endowed with happiness. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings never be separated from happiness. And may all beings abide in equanimity, undisturbed by the 8 worldly concerns. May all beings be endowed with happiness. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings never be separated from happiness. And may all beings abide in equanimity, undisturbed by the 8 worldly concerns. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may we too abide to dispel the misery of the world. So for this guided meditation, let's begin by sitting comfortably, allowing your spine to be upright without becoming too rigid, resting your hands naturally in your lap or on your knees. And if comfortable, gently close your eyes or soften your gaze, taking a slow breath in, slow breath out. Again, breathing in, breathing out. And then just allow your body to settle, allowing the shoulders to soften, the face to relax. And right now, there's nowhere else you need to be, nothing to accomplish, nothing to approve. And so for the next few moments, let's just simply become intimate with the nature of our mind itself. And now just allow yourself to rest in the present moment, where past thoughts have ceased, future thoughts have yet to arrive. Allowing yourself to rest right here, where there's nothing to add, nothing to remove, just simply this moment. And if thoughts do arise, there's no need to push them away. There's no need to follow them. Just simply let them be. Notice that your thoughts come, your thoughts go, like clouds moving across the vast sky. The sky does not struggle against the clouds, just simply allows them to pass. And thoughts may appear, sounds may appear, sensations, they also may appear. But through all of this, our awareness itself remains open, untroubled, unconfined, simply allowing them to pass. And your awareness is spacious just like that. And now let's just take a moment to become gently curious, looking at our mind when a thought appears, looking to see where does it come from. And there's no need to answer it conceptually, just simply look. Do these thoughts come from within the body, outside of the body, somewhere in between? With these thoughts, can you find a shape, the color of the thought, its location? And just look gently without force, without trying to solve a puzzle, just observing. And as you look, you may notice that thoughts cannot actually be found. They appear and then they vanish like writing upon water. Nothing needs to erase the thought, it dissolves by itself. And then again, another thought appears. You notice it, and it too passes away. And think, where did it go? And just look. Can you find where that past thought has gone? And through all of this, notice that your awareness remains open, clear, present. And now release even the search, the inquiry, allowing the body to soften, the mind to relax. And notice there's a stillness here and also a knowing quality. Stillness and knowing are not two separate things. Awareness is naturally peaceful, naturally awake. And there's no need to manufacture this meditation. There's nothing to hold on to. No need to make it become anything. Just simply rest. If thoughts arise, leave them exactly as they are. As sounds arise, leave them exactly as they are. If emotions are arising, you can also leave them exactly as they are. Nothing is an obstacle in this meditation. Everything's included. Everything's allowed to arise, allowed to dissolve, just like waves rising and returning in the ocean. As we simply rest naturally, not rejecting thoughts, not indulging in thoughts. Notice that awareness is still already present. You don't have to create it. It's here before every thought, during every thought, and after every thought. And just rest here, open, simple, uncontrived. And now bring this awareness back to your body, feeling the contact of your feet on the floor, feeling the support beneath you. Taking another deep breath in. Slowly breathing out. Begin by wiggling your fingers and your toes, bringing yourself back into the space. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Supplication to the Buddha. To the Blessed One, the one gone beyond, the fully awakened one, the great physician, the supreme teacher. You came to this earth and through your own efforts you obtained the awakened state, overcoming all suffering and distress. Through your great compassion, you showed us the path to liberation. You taught us the merit of compassion, wisdom, and equanimity. To you, the glorious teacher, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Blessed One. Through the merits of these thoughts, words, and actions, may we dedicate this for the benefit of all sentient beings. And like you, O Blessed One, may we and every being attain your supreme awakened state, free from the ocean of suffering. Lord of the Dharma, I prostrate to your omniscient being. Seven-limb prayer. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the merits of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until samsara ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate the merit created by myself and others to the great enlightenment. A mandala offering. This ground anointed with perfumes, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. The objects of my attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, strangers, my body, wealth, and enjoyments, without any sense of loss, I offer this collection. Please accept it with pleasure and bless me with the freedom from the three poisons. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niyatayami. And we'll say these next two together. Supplication to Manjushri. Om, homage to Manjushri, deity whose diamond speech cuts off all suffering, whose clear mind is the embodiment of insight wisdom. Manjushri, protector, free from evil and karmic stains. Your form is vast as the sky. Your mind dwells in the one taste of suchness. Lord of wisdom, I prostrate to your omniscient being. Supplication to Maitreya. Om, Lord Maitreya, benevolent one, golden son of the primordial emperor of the northern paradise. Around you the stars and spheres course in turn. Within the span of your breath, countless worlds rise and fall. Deity of innumerable names, called or uncalled, you are always present. May the pure heaven of Tashita always rise before us. Supplication to Tara. Om Svasti, long-eyed mother of the Lord of the triple world, mother who gives birth to all the Buddhas of the three times, performing all their functions by the strength of your compassion, by your knowledge of non-duality, by your unwavering power, mother of Maitreya, I pay homage to you. O Lady of great compassion, your smiling face the delight of beings, your calming eye looks out over the triple world. You spread your seat upon a moon whose essence is the thought of enlightenment. You are adorned with the finest garments and many precious gems. Your gift bestowing right hand grants magical attainment to those who invoke you. Your left hand grasps a lotus flower, symbol of your stainless purity. Your two hands are the union of means and wisdom. Boundless body of union, I pay homage to you. Homage to Tara, at whose lotus feet the gods and non-gods make worship. Homage to Tara, mother of all Buddhas, who heralds freedom from limitations.
Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha. Om Tare, Tu Ture Soha. Om Tare, Tu Tare, 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 Ture Soha.
Dedication of Tara meditation. By the meritorious energy of my meditation of Tara, the beyond samsara goddess, may all the limitless sentient beings be led by their energy of the enlightened ones until their Buddhahood is achieved. Supplication to Paul Lama. Soul Mother, Lady victorious over the three worlds, please pay attention here and now. You overpower the whole apparent world, samsara and nirvana, by heroically guarding the Dharma and Dharma holders. 4 types of actions, like lightning. You soar up openly like a full moon in the midst of a garland of powerful Dharma protectors. Powerful Daikini protector, I prostrate, your omniscient being. Supplication to Chenrezig. You whose white-colored body is unstained by faults, whose crown is adorned by a fully enlightened Buddha, who gaze upon my creatures with the eyes of compassion, to you, Chenrezig, I prostrate, liberating the beings of the 6 realms. Compelled by negative karma gathered from beginless times, sentient beings through the force of anger are born as hell beings and experience the suffering of heat and cold. May they all be born in your presence, perfect deity. Om Mani Padme Hum. Compelled by negative karma gathered from beginless times, sentient beings through the force of greed are born as hungry ghosts and experience the suffering of hunger and thirst. May they all be born in your perfect realm, the Patala. Om Mani Padme Hum. Compelled by negative karma gathered from beginless times, sentient beings through the force of confusion are born as animals and experience the suffering of dullness and bewilderment. May they all be born in your presence, protector. Om Mani Padme Hum. Compelled by negative karma gathered from beginless times, sentient beings through the force of desire are born as humans and experience the suffering of constant toil and poverty. May they all be born in the supreme pure land of Dewachan. Om Mani Padme Hum. Compelled by negative karma gathered from beginless times, sentient beings through the force of jealousy are born as demigods and experience the suffering of fighting and quarreling. May they all be born in your realm, the Patala. Om Mani Padme Hum. Compelled by negative karma gathered from beginless times, sentient beings through the force of pride are born as gods and experience the suffering of change and falling. May they all be born in your realm, the Patala. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme.
It's on the second meditation that we do Tonglen practice for this suffering of other beings. There's a short explanation of how to do this practice in your service. Again, I'd like us to dedicate our Tonglen practice again for Robert Thurman as he's going through the Bardo. Dedication of Chenrezig meditation. By this virtue may I quickly become Chenrezig and then lead every being without exception to that ground. Vajrasattva mantra. Om benza sato samaya mano palaya benza sato tino patrida drido mebawa suto kayo mebawa supo kayo mebawa anorakto mebawa sarva siddhi me prayatsa sarva karma susame sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sarvatata gata benzama me munza benzi bawa mahasamaya sato ahum pet Om benza sato samaya manopalaya benza sato chino padrida drido mebawa suto kayo mebawa supo kayo mebawa anorakto mebawa sarva siddhi me prayatsa sarva karma susame sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sarvatata gata benzama me munza benzi bawa mahasamaya sato ahum pet Om benza sato samaya mano palaya benza sato tino patrida dredo mebawa suto kayo mebawa supo kayo mebawa anorakto mebawa sarva siddhi me prayatsa sarva karma susame sitam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagavan Sarvatata gata benzama me munza benzi bawa mahasamaya sato ahum ped.
Om Vajrasattva 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 Om Vajrasattva.
And for this final meditation, you can return to like a shamatha or non-dual meditation or your Tonglen practice. These buckwheat cushions are wonderful until they get slanted where you just constantly are sliding. I feel like I'm on a slip and slide. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Are y'all still hot back there? Okay, it's better. Good. Don't thank me. I didn't do anything. I mean, I was gonna say if you were, I got my little fan up here. I can. You feel it? No. Oh, okay. All right. Well, before we begin the Dharma talk, I do want to just welcome everyone here. Do we have anybody here for the first time? Oh, wonderful. Well, we're happy that you're here. Whether you're newly exploring the Dharma or you're just looking for a spiritual home, I do hope that you consider the Rime Center as part of your journey. I know there's a couple other newer faces that I see, so I definitely want to say hi to you before you head out. A couple of announcements that we have. Next Sunday is our gathering of the Daikinis, which happens at 9 a.m. This is a monthly gathering that invites the women of our Sangha to connect, share ideas, and shape our community's future. So we definitely want to invite you to join us as the Rime Buddhist Center to cultivate this meaningful relationship and collect intention to in a supportive, compassionate space. And I thought I heard that you all have assignments next Sunday, so I don't know what that's about. Boxing up the gift shop. Okay. Yeah, so maybe I'll skip to that one. So as many of you have heard or not have heard, the Rime Center is entering an exciting new phase. As you all can feel, we've kind of outgrown this space quite a bit. We had originally planned to expand the house, but we came into a lot of friction with the city, with ordinances and things like that just made expanding it not possible. So we had a town hall, I think probably about a month or so ago, and one of the things we had mentioned was, should we stay and try to deal with a lot of these ordinances, or look at other options like moving? And what we had heard, the board, was that staying would be nice. We love the space, but also moving is not off the table. So we had actually reached out to a real estate agent just to say, oh, well, what's available out there. And on our very first time out and about, we actually ran into this property that's in Northmore, Missouri. Many of you are probably wondering, where in the world is Northmore, Missouri? It's right next to Riverside. It is literally 4 blocks by 3 blocks. It's a teeny tiny little municipality. Anyways, they had a really beautiful, fairly renovated building. It used to be a church or church offices. I'm not really quite sure. It's a funky looking building. I like it a lot. And so we had made an offer on the building. We're waiting to hear back for the seller to accept the offer. We've done a lot of back and forths, and we're pretty sure they will accept. We're just waiting for, we're ironing out some timeline issues. Just because we were looking at like maybe trying to close like in October, but the owner of the building's like, I'd rather sell it sooner, so we're just trying to work that out. So the bank right now, what we're doing is for the timeline is we're just waiting for the bank to approve a loan for the purchase of the building, with the understanding we would be selling this house and the property, so that way we could take the equity that we've built up in this property to apply it to the loan. So that's what we're waiting to hear back from. It's going to probably be a couple weeks, I think, before we know for sure. But we're not sitting on our laurels waiting for the bank, because as many of you who have ever bought or sold a house know, it can go pretty quicker than you realize. And we do need to have this house sold in order to apply that equity into the new loan. So with that said, we are basically preparing to sell this house. We have another residential real estate agent that we're working with. And speaking with him, he said, oh, this is a beautiful property. It would be really nice if it didn't look like a Dharma center when he puts it online. So we're actually going to have a little bit of a period of transition. So we have what we're wanting to do is kind of clean the house up, clear it out. We're going to rent out like one of those pods, storage pods. That's going to sit out front. We're kind of move everything into the pod, emptying out the house. That way, the real estate agent can come through, take pictures. We have a contractor coming in to do some touch-up work on the property. So with that said, our goal is to have the house cleared out by the 8th because Nick, right? I told you it's moving fast. July 8th. Exactly. So if you've noticed, I want to say thank you to Vicky and Jesse who came in yesterday with me and sweated to the oldies. They have gotten the library fairly packed up. I think there's maybe one more bookshelf. I worked on the office yesterday. I'm not going to say it's pretty, but everything's in a box. We have a bunch of statues and things like that we haven't quite packed up because we're Benaya, who many of you know actually works with art installations and things like that. So we're actually going to have him take care of packaging the art and things like that. But we're doing it like next week. So the pod's coming in, I was told Wednesday. We're going to kind of move everything we already had packed up in the pod. And then really we're going to start packing everything else up. So 3rd floor, the gift shop, which is going to be probably Sunday. Let's see what else. The basement stuff we're going to have to start pulling out. Down here, we're going to start, as you can see, the tonkas have been taken down and the prayer flags have been taken down. If you're like, why does it look a little different in here? That's why. Because those are easy things to take down. Anyway, so we want it 8th to have it as cleared out as possible. The 10th, it's going to list for being on sale. And so we will be starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to have people here to have the house open. If you can, it's going to be Thursday 4 to 6, Friday 9 to 12, Saturday 1 to 3. I know Saturday's a holiday, so we'll try to get out by 3. And of course, Wednesday, we'll probably start moving a lot of the boxes that we currently have packed into the pod. But we need as many volunteers as possible. As you know, the more hands we have, the faster it goes. This next week, this coming Wednesday. Yeah, because as the gift shop gets packed up, we'll actually be taking it into the pod at the same time. And it, we were here yesterday, maybe 3 hours, and we got the office and most of the library done. So whether you could stay for an hour or the afternoon to help pack up and move, your support really does make a big difference. And if you're able to lend a hand, reach out to myself, Gabi, probably Vicky or Nicole, so that way they can make sure we have people here. And then, so thank you again for everybody's guidance with options and helping us really make this next important step in the Rime Center's future. We're hoping and I was telling people they have in the center of this building is their meeting room is what they called it on the map, but it is literally the same size as this house footprint, just to kind of let you know the size of it. And there's like a few offices that we're looking at removing to even expand that out further. So we're hoping to hear from the seller next week, so that way we can make formal announcements. But if y'all are in the market for a house, that is a fantastic question, and it is $267,500 and 59 cents. Yeah. So yeah, and just to clarify, that's for the house. We have 2 lots next to the house, so there's this middle lot that we don't own, so it's kind of a U-shaped, and then we're going to sell the garden separately, and then the back 9 separately as well. So post dates one more time. So the 8th, we want the house cleaned out by, so Nick, the real estate agent, can come in and take pictures. The 10th, it's going up for sale, $267,500 and 59 cents. That's 267,000, by the way, not 26 or 2,600. Yeah, deal sold. So there is also going to be a little bit of a transition period. Sergio's jokingly called it, we're going through the bardo. And that is because, once the house is cleaned out, all the cushions are going to be out, all the chairs are going to be out. And unless you guys like sitting on a hard floor, you probably don't want to be in here. So we're going to transition to online services, only online services and classes, probably beginning Sunday the 12th. And then our goal is to try to be, fingers crossed, maybe rough guess, we haven't set a firm date, but to try to be in the new building maybe in August. So there will be a couple of weeks transition where we'll be online only. So I think our basics class will be done by then. 2 more weeks, and then the entering the mandala will be an online class for a bit. So, all right. With that said, we want to invite you to join us for our last Sunday study, or a Sutra Study Sunday here at this facility, at this location at the Sangha House, which will be July 5th. It's going to be right after the service, about 12:30. And we're going to continue exploring the teachings of Vimalakirti, where we're studying chapter 7, which is the lessons on non-duality and how this profound wisdom applies to awakening in everyday life. And like I mentioned, the entering the mandala class will start July 15th. So it will be an online, at least for the first part. And I'll reach out to everybody who's registered to make sure. Originally, it was going to be in person only, but because of the bardo, we'll have to be online. The online bardo. I wonder what that would be in Tibetan. I don't know. But the entering the mandala, it's going to be an 8-week course that offers a Rime style introduction to Vajrayana Buddhism through the Nyingma Kagyu traditions. So participants are going to explore tantric views, practices, principles to integrate awakening into daily life. So this is going to be a 2-part class. This year we're doing part 1. Next year, this same time, we'll do part 2. This year we'll go through theory of tantric Buddhism, as long as establishing a preliminary practice for those of you who are interested in learning more about tantric Buddhism. There's no commitment. Once the class is done, you don't have to continue with part 2 if you don't want to, or do tantric practices, but hopefully we'll explore it so at least you have a stronger understanding of what you're getting into if you do decide to go down that route. I made that sound very bad. Apologies. So for 30 years, the Rime Center has served as a sanctuary in Kansas City, cultivating compassion, sharing wisdom, nourishing community. Our Sangha continues to grow, and we're looking forward to the future. So again, we invite you all to help contribute to our 2026 Temple Fund. Our $30,000 goal will support the purchase of this new building to accommodate our expanding community and to ensure that this refuge remains open. And so your generosity of any size helps preserve and extend the Dharma for years to come. So thank you all so much. And I want to especially say a strong, heartfelt thank you to all of our GenDoc members. Those are those of you who contribute monthly to the Rime Center. And it really is the GenDoc community that... Was that me? Oh, somebody posted on band. But it really is the GenDoc community who sustains us through month to month to month. So thank you all so much. All right, I want to tell you about a moment that many of you may recognize. So last week, nothing dramatic, but I had a family member call me. Someone who I love very much and who is not here in the Kansas City area. And by the end of the conversation, I had promised to fix a problem for them that I realized I really couldn't fix, especially being so far away. I tried to offer some reassurance that I wasn't really sure I believed. again, because I'm not there with them. And then when I hung up the phone, I was feeling both deeply caring for my family member, but also completely hollowed out, like, being so far away. They don't have any other family members in the area. And so it's just heartbreaking sometimes when you just can't be there. It can't be a 30-minute drive to get to them. But it's that gap between loving someone and knowing what to do with that love is where most of us actually live. Maybe that sounds familiar to you, where you've had a situation where you really truly care for somebody, but you just don't know what to do for them. We walk around carrying a quiet, unspoken tension, almost a guilt. At least for me, it almost felt like a guilt. On one side, right, there's that analytical part of us, the part that manages our budgets, solves problems at work, tries to understand the world. But then there's the other side of us. Is the feeling part of us, that part that gets hurt, feels lonely, worries about people we love, and looks at the news and our heart aches. We spend tremendous energy trying to balance these two things as if they're opposing forces. Again, maybe this sounds familiar. Maybe it doesn't. Because I think if I get too emotional, right, I lose my clarity. I get kind of overwhelmed. If I get too analytical, I become really cold and detached. And sometimes, and it's very often the case, we then burn out from trying to care for everyone. How many people have felt like they've had a little bit of burnout this year? Compassion fatigue. Yeah, thank you, Fanny. It's omnipresent sometimes. Sometimes we also like to retreat into our numbness just to survive the week. How many people have ever had that feeling, right? Like, as soon as Friday gets here, everything will be okay. We bring our tired bodies, our worries, our distracted minds onto the cushion, hoping for the Dharma to give us some kind of tool to fix this split. Most of the time, we fall asleep, and it's okay. But the Dharma invites us to look at the tension itself. What if this split between kind of this analytical mind and this caring mind really is just an illusion? What if wisdom and compassion were never meant to be two separate things, but are simply two expressions of that same awakened heart? In our ordinary experience, we see the world made up of separate pieces, right? There's the me here and the world out there, my happiness and your happiness, my problems and your problems. The Buddha's earliest teaching is what we talk about in the first turning of the wheel of Dharma. And it invites us to investigate these assumptions clearly. The Buddha pointed to what he called the 5 skandhas, the 5 aggregates of experience: form, sensation, perception, mental formation, and then consciousness. These 5 things are like pillars holding up this concept of self. And when we look carefully at any of these moments of experience, we discover something really surprising. What we call the self, this dog tag conglomeration, really is not a fixed, solid thing. It's a flowing process. Are you the same person you were in high school? God, I hope not. At least I hope not. My God, that was awful. So it is this flowing process. It's this changing stream of causes and conditions, each arising in dependence on others. And yet we continually grab at parts of that stream and declare, this is me. We identify with our bodies. We identify with our emotions, our opinions, those stories that we've created in our head. A pleasant feeling arises and we cling to it. An unpleasant feeling arises and we try to push it away. We try to resist it. A perception appears and we treat it as reality itself. And the Buddha's invitation is simple. Look closer. When we use wisdom or prajna to examine our experience, we do not find a solid, independent self standing apart from everything else. We find relationships, we find interdependence, and we find openness. And this is what Mahayana Buddhism calls shunyata, often translated as emptiness. Terrible English translation because it means much more than empty. And it means that nothing exists, or it doesn't mean that nothing exists like a voidness or a nihilistic view, but nothing exists independently. Everything arises through causes and conditions. Everything is connected, like waves upon an ocean, like the moon reflected in 1,000 different ponds. And the Buddha described this in an early teaching to a wanderer named Kachana. And in the Kachana Gota Sutra, which is found in the Samutaya Nikaya of the Pali Canon, Kachana had asked the Buddha about the nature of right view. And the Buddha's answer was essentially this, that most people are caught between two extremes: the view that things are permanently that things permanently exist, and the view that things do not exist at all. And dependent origination is the middle way between those two extremes, that things arise and things pass. But they do not arise or pass as isolated, independent entities as we normally think of. They arise in relationship. They pass in relationship, and there is no self standing outside of that web, nothing to be found. And I think it's important that this is where analytical meditation can come into play, because a lot of times we have an experience when we are just about in our daily life that there is a solid me, right? Somebody threatens us and we feel very solid. Yet when we're on the cushion and we do analytical meditation, and we think, oh, that was very solid, and we bring up that experience, but then we start to look at it and it gets all wibbly wobbly, right? The edges aren't so sharp anymore. You know, it's interesting because when we think about this dependent origination of things rising and things pass, but you know, the thing about this teaching that the Buddha wants us to notice is when the illusion of separation begins to dissolve, even slightly, even for a moment, something remarkable happens. Compassion arises. Not because we decided to be compassionate, but because we saw the truth. Wisdom is simply the heart that knows that we're not separate. And when that heart knows that we're not separate, it naturally opens. So sometimes people hear teachings on emptiness and they assume it leads to a detachment, right? Maybe an emotional distance, a kind of philosophical remove from the mess of human life, sometimes spiritual bypassing. But consider the Buddha's own life. After his realization deepened underneath the Bodhi tree, did he become less compassionate? That's a question for the class. No, of course not. What about, did he withdraw from humanity? No. Yeah, the opposite happened. For 45 years, he devoted himself to others. The more clearly he saw reality, the more freely compassion flowed from him. And so real wisdom does not create distance, it removes the illusion of distance. Think about what actually happens when you recognize yourself in someone else's suffering. Maybe you see an elderly person struggling to carry groceries. Maybe you see someone sitting alone in a hospital waiting room. Maybe you see a child crying. Okay, maybe there's a little distance there. No, I'm just kidding. But something shifts, not because you decided to care, but because in that moment, the story of me and them is loosened. Just enough for you to feel the shared ground underneath you. Compassion is what the heart does when it sees clearly. As we see in Vimalakirti's illness used as an allegory, for those of you who remember chapter 4 of when we studied the teachings on Vimalakirti, Vimalakirti said to Manjushri, the sick bodhisattva should tell himself, just as my sickness is unreal and non-existent, so is the sickness of all living beings are unreal and non-existent. Through such consideration, he arouses the great compassion towards all living beings without falling into sentimental compassion, but instead arouses great compassion towards all living beings through striving to eliminate the incidental afflictions. So this isn't like a moral command. It's just a description of reality. When we see things as they are, interdependent, relational, empty of the separation we imagine, the natural response is to move towards others rather than away from them. There's another sutra I want to quote, the Samadhi Raja Sutra, often translated as the King of Samadhi Sutra. It's one of the great Mahayana texts, and it puts it in a single verse. They who know the peace that is the nature of phenomena know that sentient beings are suffering. They always beat the drum of the elixir. They will before long become a guide. And so that moment from knowing the peaceful nature of phenomena directly into knowing that beings suffer really is the whole arc of this teaching in 4 lines. Wisdom and compassion are not 2 separate achievements. They are one seeing turned into 2 directions at once. So, at the same time, the heart alone without the clarity of wisdom isn't enough. Let me describe someone. You may recognize this person. They're a caregiver, maybe a child caring for an aging parent, but they love fiercely, they give everything, they rearrange their whole life around this person's needs. And then they are exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix because the exhaustion isn't physical. If the exhaustion of believing that they worry enough, that they try hard enough, that they carry enough responsibility, they can keep suffering from happiness. But their compassion is real. It's not a thing that's wrong with their love, but something's missing. And what's missing is the wisdom that every being has their own karma, their own path, their own journey. And this wisdom that knows I can be fully present with this person's suffering without believing that I'm personally responsible for ending it, or I can care without carrying the universe on my shoulders. Without wisdom, compassion becomes a form of control, a subtle, loving, exhausting attempt to manage outcomes that we cannot control. Without wisdom, compassion burns out, compassion fatigue. Yongey Kachab Rinpoche puts it plainly in his book, Heart Advice. He says, compassion is very deep and stable. It does not have expectations or agendas. Think about that. How often are we compassionate, yet we're compassionate with an agenda? But this is what we're aiming for, not the kind of compassion that needs another person to get better so that we can feel relieved, but something steadier, less conditioned than that. And that's why Rinpoche, following Chandakirti's introduction to the mental way, describes wisdom and compassion as 2 wings, right? A very common metaphor. And he writes, just as a bird needs 2 wings to fly across the ocean to the far shore, we need the 2 wings of the relative and ultimate to cross the ocean of samsara to the state of enlightenment, end quote. And so you cannot fly with just 1 wing. Okay, maybe you can, but you're going to be going around in circles. And Rinpoche goes further. He speaks from his own practice, and he says, in my own experience, meditation on emptiness by itself fails to give the mind the necessary power and confidence to remain in that state if we lack compassion and bodhicitta, end quote. Wisdom without compassion stalls. It becomes clear-eyed but cold, technically correct but humanly useless. And so together they carry us. Together they are sustainable. And this brings to a beautiful teaching. But what does it actually look like on a Tuesday afternoon when you're tired and running late? Okay, let's say a Wednesday afternoon, so that way you're coming here to the Rime Center and you're running late. Let's use a simple example. Imagine a coworker or a classmate for the youngers, right? Imagine they snap at you during a meeting. Immediately, the machinery of the self goes into work. Our body tightens, maybe our chest constricts, maybe our shoulders get really tight. right? Painful sensations arise. Perceptions then labels this person as rude and unfair, and not only as temporary, but this is the way they always were. Mental formations generate anger or resentment, and before you know it, you have spent the rest of the day replaying that conversation, trying to win that argument that happened 3 hours ago. So without wisdom, we react from inside of the story. We defend ourselves, we strike back, or we swallow it and carry it home and ruminate on it and let it really harden in our heart. But wisdom allows us to simply pause, even slightly, in that moment of tightening. We notice what's happening. We feel the sensations of the body. We recognize the emotions as weather moving through, arising, presenting itself, and then passing. And then we remember this person is also living with stress, fear, hopes, and disappointments. There are causes and conditions behind that snapping voice that maybe I can't even see. The story then becomes larger than that moment. And because the story becomes larger, something in us softens. Compassion emerges, not because we approve of the behavior, not because we become passive, but because wisdom made room for it. Again, Rinpoche often reminds us world peace begins in our own minds, not as a slogan, but as a description of how change actually moves from the moment of recognition outward into relationship, outward into community, outward into the world. And this is where the union of wisdom and compassion becomes real, not in a monastery or a philosophy book, but in conversations, in traffic, maybe even in the kitchen at the end of a long day. So let's try something together. I think we got no more minutes, but we're going to try something anyways. I just want you to set everything aside for a moment, even the time, and just take a gentle breath, letting the body settle. And then bring to mind someone you love easily. Maybe it's a child, perhaps a parent, a close friend, a teacher, someone whose face, when it appears in your mind, causes your chest to soften just slightly. And now hold this question. What does this person most want? They want to be happy. They want to be safe. They want to love and be loved. They want to be free from suffering. And now let that awareness expand without straining, without trying, just gently widening the circle. Maybe to every person in this room, knowing that they want exactly the same thing. Everybody in this room wants happiness. Everybody in this room wants safety, freedom from suffering, different stories, different circumstances, different beliefs, but underneath it all, the same fundamental longing. And now try to expand it out even further. Every person in Kansas City. Expand it out further. Every person on this planet. All right. Enough of that. Wisdom sees the truth. And what arises in response to seeing it, that warmth, that opening, that quiet wish for others to be well, that is compassion. It doesn't have to be manufactured. It's already here, waiting beneath the stories that we tell about separation. And that's exactly what the Buddha described in the Metta Sutra, right? The very famous discourse on loving kindness. Just as a mother would protect her only child with her own life, even so let one cultivate a boundless love towards all beings. Notice what the Buddha says here. He does not say manufacture this feeling. He says cultivate it. Cultivate it the way Donna's cultivated the garden, the plants out there. Donna's like, no. But when we cultivate a garden, we are removing what blocks the light. We're giving it water and nutrients. But we're not forcing the flowers or the plants to grow. We're allowing them to grow at their own speed. The mother's love for her own child is always present. It's always there. It's the practice is learning to expand it to others. So this week, I'd like to offer a simple practice for those moments when irritation, anxiety, or judgment arises. When you notice the tightening in the body and the mind, just pause. Locate the sensation. Where is it? Maybe it's in the jaw, the chest, the stomach. And don't try to fix it or explain it. Just feel it as temporary waves moving through awareness. Then ask yourself one question. What am I not seeing here? Not as criticism for yourself, not as an effort to talk yourself out of the feelings, just as a genuine inquiry. What's the larger story here? What causes and conditions might be in play that I can't see? And let wisdom make a little room. Then breathe kindly into that room for yourself first, then for whoever else is in that picture. And that's the practice. Small enough to do a dozen times a day, because you probably have to do it a dozen times a day, but enough to change over time how our heart meets the world. So we began this morning with that phone call last week, in that familiar gap between loving someone and knowing what to do with that love. And the teaching I want to leave you with is this: that gap is not a failure. It's an invitation. It's where practice actually lives. Wisdom, compassion are not two achievements that we're supposed are not two achievements where we're supposed to hold in balance. They are two expressions of the same nature, a nature that is already present, already whole, already here underneath the noise of the stories that we tell about ourselves with separation. And when the heart truly knows, it naturally loves. And when the mind truly loves, it begins to know. I hope that this talk has been beneficial to you. This week, may you have compassion, wisdom, gratefulness, and joy. Long life supplication for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you're the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Flower Faith. Lama of great compassion with kindness to all, you firmly established the Rime tradition through skillful means and wisdom. Mary Tenzin Dawa, who is the embodiment of all the Daikinis, with the sun of wisdom and the moon of compassion, you bring love and joy to everyone you meet. Inspired by your example, I vow to cultivate compassion and wisdom from this moment forward and on all my future lives. Strive to embody the Buddhist teachings in every thought, word, and deed. Dedication of merit. By this merit, may I obtain omniscience, may it defeat enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. By this merit, may I obtain omniscience, may it defeat enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. By this merit, may I obtain omniscience, may it defeat enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. Aspiration prayers. Bodhicitta is precious, may it arise from whom is not arisen. Once arisen, may it not diminish, but ever grow and flourish. All difficulties, without exception, being pacified with harmonious situations like the treasure of the sky. May the teachings and practice of the Rime tradition live long and shine brightly. And again, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Don't forget to join us throughout this week as we're starting to pack up stuff. Sure, why not?